All right. What's going on, everybody? We're going to be making some NFL rankings for this upcoming season today. Um, so the categories we have are Super Bowl favorites, Super Bowl contenders, playoff teams, potential wild cards, missing playoff teams, mediocre at best, young but are on the rise and intriguing, and then we have number one pick contention. This is just my opinion. So we're going to go through all these, talk about each team and how I feel about them. We're just going to start with the first one here. We got the New Orleans Saints. I think they got a little better towards the end last year with Tyler Shough and all those guys. I still don't think they're I don't know if they're mediocre yet. I feel like they're more young but intriguing. That's where I'd put them, I believe. I don't see them as one of those teams that are going to be 500. I think they're intriguing this year, though. They drafted the young receiver out of USC, I believe. So I think they have some hope this year, more than they did last year. At least last year I would have had them on the number one pick contention, but yeah. All right, the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that's in a full rebuild. I don't think there's much going on for them. They got Malik Willis, which I'm excited to see him play, but besides that, they don't really have much. The defense is not good. I'm going to put the Dolphins in number one pick contention this year, just based off how their offseason went, trading away Waddle, all those guys, getting rid of Tua. They're just in a full rebuild, I believe. All right, the Baltimore Ravens. They're one of those teams that are always going to be towards the top. They haven't proven themselves to get over the hump yet. I think I'm just going to stick them in playoff teams. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders. I think they're a good playoff team, as they have been. And until they prove me wrong, I'm not going to change that opinion. The Cincinnati Bengals. We know they're always capable of being good. The question is whether or not they're going to be able to be stay healthy. First of all, Joe Burrow's got to stay healthy in order for them to be good. I think they're potential wild cards or a playoff team. They can be really good. They got Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to stick him in the wild card, I think, just based off how everything's gone for them the past couple of years. They got to get back into the playoffs before they prove anything else. So, wild card team at best for the Bengals, I believe. All right, the Denver Broncos. These are the reigning AFC West champions. They lost in the AFC Championship game to the Patriots. Bo Nix got hurt in the divisional round, which hurt them a lot, obviously, losing your starter. The Broncos, I think, are going to be right back in that conversation. I think I'm going to stick them with the Ravens and playoff team. I don't know if they're a contender for the Super Bowl with, teams like the Chiefs getting fully healthy again. You got the Bills. You got all those teams that are going to kind of be above them. The Patriots, I think the Broncos are a playoff team. All right, New York Giants. They had a rough year last year, 4 wins. They've built a lot more this offseason. John Harbaugh coming in. They stacked up on defense again in the draft. Jackson Dart was promising last year. I think I'm going to go. They're just going to miss the playoffs, I think. I think they're going to be around the 500 range, but I think they're ultimately going to miss the playoffs by about a game or two. But it's going to be a promising year for the Giants, I believe. All right, the Minnesota Vikings are next. The Vikings, I don't know. I don't see a lot in this team. I'm going to go mediocre at best. They have a QB competition with J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray. I'm just not seeing it. Mediocre. All right, the Rams, Super Bowl favorites. That's pretty self-explanatory. They got Myles Garrett. They're the reigning runner-up in the NFC. I think they've gotten better this offseason. I think they're going to be better than the Seahawks are this year. And I think they're probably going to win the Super Bowl if they stay fully healthy, to be honest. They got Garrett. They got Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. The names go on and on. Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson on defense. The names go on. So I think the Rams are a Super Bowl favorite this upcoming year. That's pretty self-explanatory to everybody, I believe. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They drafted Ruben Bain in this draft last year, which I really like. Ruben's a really good player. I think that's going to help them on the defensive end, which they needed help on. This is a prove-it year for Todd Bowles. Probably his last year if they don't make the playoffs at least and win a playoff game. He's probably gone after this year. I like Baker. I like their offense. They lost Mike Evans in free agency. I think they're a potential wild card again, as they usually are. I don't think they've gotten much better or much worse, so I'll stick the Bucs there. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. The Lions missed the playoffs last year. They had a lot of injuries on defense. They just didn't have a great year. They're still a really good team. We all know that. I think they're a playoff team once again. I'm going to stick them right there with the Ravens and Broncos. They're a team that we know can win. They've proven it the past couple of years, and Dan Campbell's a good coach, so you know he's going to have them in there. The Bears I like a lot. They had a really promising run in the playoffs last year. Caleb Williams, a really good quarterback. I don't know if I'm ready to put him in the Super Bowl contenders yet, though. Playoff teams might be. They're a playoff team for sure. I don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders yet, though. I'm going to stick them right next to the Lions. I think they're pretty evenly matched there with Detroit and Chicago. I think they're about the same. So I'm not too confident in them yet to put them in the Super Bowl contenders, but definitely a playoff team. The 49ers. This is another one that's interesting. They obviously have the injury problems that you can never guarantee they're going to stay healthy with McCaffrey, Kittle, Purdy. They all get hurt every year. Bosa. They're obviously a Super Bowl contender if they're healthy, but I think they're just a playoff team if, they're not healthy. But I think I'm going to put them in a Super Bowl contender. They have Mike Evans this year. I like them as a Super Bowl contender. They're really, really good when they play healthy football, so I'll keep them up there in Super Bowl contenders. The Philadelphia Eagles are next. The Eagles are a tough team to judge, I think. They have the firepower. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Last year was underwhelming for them in many different aspects. I think they're a playoff team. They could be a contender. They lost A.J. Brown. I'm going to put them back in the playoff team category because of that. I think they lost a step last year, and it's going to continue into this next upcoming season, I believe. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, they had the first pick last year, drafting Fernando Mendoza, and they drafted Aston Gentry the year prior. They have Brock Bowers. They have some good pieces on this team that they just got to figure out how to utilize. The Raiders, I think they're young but intriguing, right at the Saints level. I don't think they're going to get the number one pick again, but I believe that they're young and they're on the rise, and I don't see much of them this year, but in the next couple of years, they'll definitely get a lot better with the new coach, and Fernando Mendoza hopefully will help them out. The Packers, I'm just going to go ahead and put on the level of the Bucs and the Bengals. I think they're a potential wild card, probably a definite wild card. I don't know if I'm going to stick in with the playoff teams because I don't think they're on the level of all those teams that are up there, in my opinion, but they got a shot. Okay, next we have the Commanders. The Commanders are in a way like, I think they're decent. They're mediocre. They're probably on the same level as the Giants. I don't see it with them. Jayden Daniels had an off year. Their whole team had an off year. I don't see much in the Commanders this coming year. All right, the Arizona Cardinals. I already know where I'm going to put them. I just see it young but intriguing. They got the kid I like. They got Jeremiah Love in the draft. I like him a lot. I think he's young. I know he's young. He's a very exciting player to watch out of Notre Dame. I just don't think the Cardinals have much going for him besides that. But yeah. Next, the Steelers. I think what they usually are is a potential wild card, and I think that stays the same with Aaron Rodgers coming in his last year. Nothing much has changed besides Tomlin leaving and McCarthy coming in. They have Michael Pittman this year. Probably a wild card team once again. All right, the Bills. The Bills are a Super Bowl contender. They always are, I feel, even though they've never made it there. In these last 5-6 years, they're always a contender. They're always right there with the Chiefs and the Chiefs, the Bengals. They're always up there with them. The Broncos. The Bills are going to be back, and they're going to be right in the playoffs again. So probably a contender. This is a prove it year for Josh Allen, though. He's got something to prove this year, definitely. All right. Next, the Atlanta Falcons. They have Tua and Penix at the quarterback battle. It's looking like Tua, though, I believe, from what I've seen on social media. I believe it's going to be Tua, is what it's looking like in training camp and OTAs and all that stuff. But the Falcons, they have Bijan, they have Drake London, they have Mooney, they have all those guys that can play. They got a good defense. I'm going to put them here, missing playoff teams. They're definitely they can make the wild card, but I think they're on the same level as the Commanders and the Giants, personally. All right, the reigning champions, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks. All they lost was Kenneth Walker. They got the same core besides Kenneth. They got Darnold and Jigba. That defense is really, really good. You got to put them in Super Bowl favorites. You can't not do that. It's just where they belong. I think that's where they should be. The Patriots. I'm not going to put them in the favorite because I don't think they're that good. Personally, after that Super Bowl performance, I don't think they're built for it. They got A.J. Brown, which can be a problem, as the Eagles saw. I like Drake May. I'm going to put them in the contenders. They're at about the same level as Buffalo, I believe. So I'll stick them there. The Cleveland Browns obviously traded away Myles Garrett this offseason. They got Gerard Verse and a bunch of picks. Their quarterback is either going to be Shador or Deshaun Watson, I believe. The Browns, young but intriguing, I think. I don't think they're mediocre yet, but that's where I got the Browns. Okay, the Texans, they lost to the Patriots last year in the wild card. Really rough performance from Stroud. Or they lost in the divisional round, to the Patriots. Rough performance from Stroud. I think they're going to miss the playoff. They're a potential wild card. They're good. They're just not. They're never going to get past that wild card with the team that they have. Their defense is really good. Just their offense is not good enough to keep up with other teams in this league. All right. We got the Kansas City Chiefs next. My team, personally. No bias here, though. I'm going to be honest. They got Mahomes coming off the ACL and the LCL, which is going to be rough. Obviously, hopefully he plays week 1. We don't know yet, though. He's looking like he's going to, but I'm going to put this if he does, as if he plays the beginning of the year. I'm going to... All right, the Chiefs. I think if they have Kenneth Walker now, the defense is going to be pretty good. They lost Trent McDuffie, but they got corners. They got Mansour Delane. They got Noah Williams. They have Snead back. All those guys that can kind of, I don't know. I feel like they're going to be, I think they're always going to be a Super Bowl contender, even after last year. I'm going to put them up there with the Patriots, the Bills, and the Niners. They're definitely equal, if not better than those teams. They got Mahomes. That's all you need. Hopefully Rashee Rice can have a prove-it year. Xavier Worthy healthy this year. Hopefully he shows what he's built of. And Patrick can get those guys to the Super Bowl whenever he wants. So Super Bowl contender this year. I don't think they're a favorite, but I think they're a contender in my opinion. Next, the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a rough one. They're mediocre. I think they're always going to be mediocre. I don't think they're very good. Yet again, they could be ahead of the Giants and the Commanders, but you never know. I don't see much in the Cowboys. The Chargers, wild card. Nothing really to be said about that. They're always the same. They can't win a playoff game. They don't deserve to be any higher than that. The Jets. I'm going to go ahead and stick them right down here. Right with the Dolphins, number 1 pick contention for the Jets as usual. They don't really have much. They have Geno Smith playing quarterback. That's all you need to know. They're not good. That's just the moral of the story of the New York Jets right there. The Carolina Panthers, they just missed the playoffs last year. Or no, they made the playoffs, lost to the Rams in the wild card. I think they're a potential wild card again. I like Bryce Young. I like the kid. He's pretty good. I don't think they're going to be much better than the wild card team anytime soon. The Tennessee Titans. I like Cam Ward. I like what the Titans have going. They got a new coach, Saleh. They have Dable as the offensive coordinator. They got Robinson. They have Cam Ward. I'm going to put him right here in the missing playoff teams. They're going to have a decent year this year. I'm looking forward to the Titans this year, actually. I like what they have. Carnell Tate, too. They're going to be dangerous in these coming years. The Colts, Daniel Jones coming off the Achilles. They had a really good start to last year, as we all know. They're going to be a potential wild card this year, I believe. And finally, last but not least, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who... Did they make the playoff? Yeah, they lost to the Bills in the wild card last year. This is an interesting one, I think. I think they're a playoff team. I'm going to stick them in the playoff teams. They're pretty good. I like their coach, Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence had a good year. But yeah, these are my final rankings. We got the Super Bowl favorites as the Rams and the Seahawks. Super Bowl contenders, 49ers, Bills, Patriots, Chiefs. Playoff teams, Ravens, Broncos, Lions, Bears, Eagles, Jaguars. Potential wild cards, Bengals, Bucks, Green Bay, Steelers, Houston, the Chargers, Carolina, and Indianapolis. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right, the missing playoff teams, the Giants, the Commanders, the Falcons, and the Titans. Mediocre at best. The Vikings, the Cowboys, young but intriguing, the Saints, the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Browns. And finally, number 1 pick contention, we have the Dolphins and we have the Jets. So that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys like the rankings, and yeah, see you guys next time.